Welcome, Chosen One.
Hey guys, welcome to another custom card review here on the Aso Plays channel. It's been a while since last time, but there's been a lot going on, and if we're being honest, you guys aren't really that important to me at all. Of course, I'm just kidding. You guys know how much I appreciate you. I can't stop mentioning it sometimes. It is so immense. But we're back with another custom card review. I believe I have 12 cards for you today, in addition to an extra 2 exclusive cards if you go check out my article on teamrankstar.com. But we'll get back to that towards the end. We'll also get back to how you can submit your own custom cards, because there are several ways to do so, and I want to make sure that you know them all, so I don't miss out on some great creations because you guys just didn't know how to reach me. But we're just going to get into this. Of course, the creators of the cards are mentioned on screen, under their card, or next to their card. The first one is Cajamar, which is a very fitting card to start off with because it's a vampire, and of course, as we know, in yesterday's patch, vampires got a little buff. The verdict so far seems to be that they're still not very good, but they're a lot better, a lot more synergy, and they're fun. I played against the vampire deck, and it seemed a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to trying it out. And I do wish that I had a card like Cajamar in my vampire deck. He's a 3 strength unit, 9 provisions. On deploy, he will consume a bleeding enemy unit. And of course, this card has a pretty high ceiling if you look at, some unrealistic things, like if you put bleed on an old spear tip. You can do it with Dead Laugh, so you can do it the same turn you play this, and then this will consume a 12 strength unit, and you get like a 27 point swing, which is very big. And of course, you can do it on any boosted unit. Maybe this should be limited to non-boosted units, because it's just like putting a bleed on something is extremely easy to do and doesn't require the unit to be damaged or at any certain power level. You just put on a bleed and you consume it, and of course, consuming an enemy unit, turns that power swing double up. They lose the points, you gain the points. So this is probably very OP in its current state, but I'm a big fan of this ability. Of course, it fits in with like the vampire theme, like, oh, it's bleeding, well that, helps the vampires build up an appetite. And then I guess vampires don't eat people. Do they eat people? I'm not sure, but it does fit with the whole, bloodthirsty appetite for blood kind of deal. So I like this card, but it's probably very strong in its current form. Of course, it would only have to consume a 3 strength enemy unit to become a 9 for 9. So yeah, nerf Cajamar, please. But it's very cool. Now, moving on, we have Court Jester. I think this card is really cool. It's a Nilfgaard agent, human agent, 4 strength, 4 provisions. Deploy, set the power of an allied agent to 1. Order, give 2 turns of bleeding to an enemy unit. Starts with no charges, but it gains a charge for each point reduced from the power of the allied unit. So the highest base power unit, it doesn't even have to be base power really, but the highest base power agent that I can think of is Courier, which is at 5. So this would gain 4 charges, which could turn into 8 points. So this could be a 12 minus the 4 damage, so an 8 for 4. But very conditional, so I think that's actually a fair rate. And of course it has synergy with cards like Vilgefortz and Emir, because you can heal that unit back up and replay it, or you can, just destroy a 1 strength unit with Vilgefortz and get something out of your deck. So I think this card is really cool. And like I said, its ceiling will probably be around an 8 point card for 4 provisions, but it takes so many turns to, if you have a lot of units, it's very conditional, a lot of requirements to get that full value, so it's probably fair that it could reach 8 points, which is very much for a 4 provision card. Usually you're looking around 6. Really good ones can reach 7. But this could reach 8. And it could be really good. And the art is very cool. And he even has Nilfgaardian Gwent cards in his hands. I didn't notice that until now. That's really cool. He's surrounded by Nilfgaardian cards. And he's... Maybe that mustache guy is the agent whose power he's set to 1. I don't know. He looks like his power is at the 0, but... Let's not delve too deep into the semantics of it all. This is a cool card. I like it. CDPR, get on it. Now, these next few cards are part of an even larger package, which is basically a rework of the Wild Hunt units for monsters. I don't think I included all of them. I might have. I did include a lot of them. But I think they were really cool. And of course the Wild Hunt, used to be like this really cool synergistic, biting frost archetype. And now they're not really much of anything. So first up is Walton Rider, which has the old school ability from open beta. Increase the damage of biting frost on the opposite row by 1. It's a 5 for 5, so it's pretty solid. And then you play down a frost and you get an additional point every turn. Of course, frost destroying or damaging the lowest unit, often you'll damage a 1 strength unit or a 2 strength unit, in which case this ability would even do much, which I think helps balance the card. Like, you'd still probably be able to get some value out of this. And of course, with the standard rate of 7 for 5, you'd only need to get 2 points of value off of this card for it to be really, really good. And it has synergy with Frost, which makes Bronze Withers actually matter. Torrential Rain matters in Great Swords, and I love that, but I want to see the other 2 Bronze Withers also matter, so I would like to see a card like this. Although I doubt that they're going to rework the Walton Riders, because they're like the basic bronze thinning tool for monsters. But maybe their ability could be given to something else. We'll see. Moving on to Walton Warrior. 4 provision, 4 strength, order melee, damage an enemy unit by 1, cooldown 2. Whenever you played a Wild Hunt unit, decrease cooldown by 1. So this is Elven Swordmaster for the Wild Hunt. Now I'm not sure how many Wild Hunt units exist as opposed to elves. I would imagine it's less, so this card would be worse. But it's still a good 4 provision engine. And of course it does that beautiful thing of tying together an archetype. This is a good card if you play a bunch of Wild Hunt units, which makes you, you play Wild Hunt Riders, and then you gotta play Wild Hunt Frost, Biting Frost, and then you gotta play all these other things. So I really like designs like this. I like Swordmaster. I like this because it's the exact same card. But it fits into a different archetype that I definitely feel needs to be tied together a little bit, so Walton Warrior gets a thumbs up from your boy. Now we've got Wild Hunt Navigator. 5 provision, 2 strength, and we all know that this card right now in its current form is pretty useless. But in this new form, it will boost a bronze ally unit by 1 and spawn and play a 1 power copy of it. If it's a Wild Hunt unit, give it a shield. So 4 for 5 in terms of actual points. Gives a shield to the unit. This could be I just looked at the card. A Wild Hunt Warrior. This could be a Wild Hunt Warrior. It could be a Wild Hunt Rider to increase damage of Frost. I mean, imagine if you have two Riders on a row, and the opposite row is on a Frost. That Frost deals 4 damage a turn to the lowest unit. It'll probably kill everything. And it would actually become potentially a control archetype. And add in the pings from the warriors, it could actually be pretty cool. I'm not sure how useful this card would be. Shielding the unit, and it doesn't have to be a Wild Hunt unit, that's just if you want the shield, so it could be something else. Ooh, it could be Necker. Because you play it, you would get the additional Necker, so you get like 3 points, 5 points in total, and 2 Thrive units on the board. Alright. Yeah, this could be a lot of stuff. Deathwish unit. And if you had a Barbaghazzi on the board, you can just consume it. I like that it has incentive to be played with Wild Hunt, but it also works outside of that, so it's a more flexible card that has a higher chance of seeing play than if it were just restricted to Wild Hunt. So really cool, and it definitely seems fitting with what this card used to do and with what this type of unit actually does in The Witcher 3, because they don't they open portals and bring the Wild Hunt units through? So you know brings them through. Here's another one of you. Another one. And now, of course, we have to include the Wild Hunt Hound, another 4 for 4. Every allied turn on turn end, if Biting Frost is on the board, boosts self by 1. So it's a traditional engine, very much like the the new version of Garcane, which boosts self by 1. Every turn, if there's a bleeding enemy unit. But these are like nice little cards that if you... usually you have to include at least a couple of 4 provision cards. And if your deck revolves around Frost and the Wild Hunt, this is actually a really good one to just slot in there. You'll usually get his value either by baiting out removal, by actually getting the points. Sometimes you'll get excessive amounts of points. So this is really good. And again, this is a card that currently doesn't see any play. So it would be very nice to see this boy again, because he is really cool. I've always been a fan of this art, so it would be nice to see this card actually played a little bit more. Okay, we're moving into the golds. I started to feel like I included all the cards from this package because there are a lot of cards here. And they were all made by the same person, as you will have been able to see on screen. This is the new Gills. He's a Wild Hunt unit which currently has Death Wish synergy, which doesn't make sense. But this new card, 10 provisions, 3 strength, deploy on the melee row, spawn and play Biting Frost. Deploy on the range row, play Biting Frost from your deck. This is a really cool card. And for being a potential tutor, it's got good stats. 3 strength, 10 provisions, that's decent stats. Of course, it's restricted to only playing Biting Frost, but in a deck like this, using this reworked package, this is what you need. And if you don't have any more Biting Frost in your deck, he will just make one. So he'll never really brick, which is also a huge bonus. I think maybe he could be cheaper, I don't know, but he's very cool. And I don't know, I like the aspect of it being able to tutor a specific card, but it can also just spawn the card if you don't have it in your deck. So when you have such a restricted tutor like this, you would kind of have to have an ability like this. Although, of course, in Gwent you can mulligan like 600 times, so getting that Frost in your deck will be pretty easy, and this guy would always be played on the range row. What? I guess this way he's a better card for Assimilate players, because if they get this, they can still get the Frost and play the Wild Hunt. So I guess for Assimilate, this is a really good card. And I love Assimilate, so I'm a fan of that. Great design. Praise be to the great sun. Caranthir. Now, I'm a big fan of Caranthir's current ability, and I'm glad to see that this one is pretty much the exact same, except better. Deploy, spawn a 1 power copy of a unit in your hand, and summon it on this row, which is exactly what he does. 3 strength, 8 provisions, that seems like his current stats, if I'm not mistaken. But if it's a Wild Hunt unit, then you give it a shield. It's simple as that. Now, I guess the thing would be that the Wild Hunt units that are good to summon are bronzes. So it's not like he would go crazy with big boy golds. You could do Imlerith, actually, and give it a shield, which could work. Yeah, Imlerith is Wild Hunt, so that would work. But otherwise, this card is exactly the same. So there's not much discussion to be had. But I do like this, additional ability, just to, again, tie together an archetype that currently doesn't really exist. The cards exist, but the archetype does not. which is sad. Okay, so we are now done with the Wild Hunt rework. Overall, I really like it. It ties together the whole Wild Hunt as an archetype, and maybe we'll see more play, at least in, you know, decks that people try to make work. Right now, like, people aren't even trying to make it work because it's like the cards don't do things that you want them to do. But moving on, this is Zahin Schmarz. He's a dwarf and a dentist. Now that is a tag that I love, and I wish Scoia'tael would get this tag so they had more for Harmony. Of course, this would count as a dwarf for Harmony, but it would count as a dentist for Dana if it were a Scoia'tael unit. 1 strength, 7 provisions, deploy. Destroy an allied artifact, then spawn and play a copy of it. Now, we discussed this card in the Discord, and we agree that it should cost more than 7, because being able to replay artifacts, like, there are some good ones. There's some really, really good ones, like Portal, Hengate Sword in some decks, and yeah, there are a lot of really good artifacts. And Zahin Schmarz would be a very good card, especially if he's neutral. Originally I thought this was going to be a Syndicate card because it just has that Syndicate feel, but I'm not actually sure. If it's a Syndicate card, then I mean, it still should be more expensive, but at least it can't do Svalbard Totem, which honestly wouldn't really be. I mean, that would be OP. Svalbard Totem is usually worth 10 points, so this would be a casual 11 for 7. That can also replay Portal. That is good. But a lot of work was put into this card. The person who made it asked people if they could help with the flavor text. So the flavor text is really good. Just read it, enjoy it. I'm not going to butcher it with a poor Scottish accent, but just enjoy it. It is really funny. So take a look. Moving on to another rework, this time for Death Mold, a Northern Realms card, as we all know. 1 strength, 7 provisions, and an ability slightly reminiscent of the Open Beta ability when every faction had like a mage that, you know, always had 3 options for things to play. This one only has 2, but this fits more in with how Homecoming works with the rows and such. If you deploy him on the melee row, he will spawn and play a doomed copy of the last bronze unit you played. This, of course, can be very good. Blue Stripe Scout, Cintron Royal Guard. Just in general, a Spellweaver. Ooh, that would be good. And there are probably more. There are probably a lot more. So I think that ability would be really good. But deploy in the ranged row, spawn and play Alzur's Thunder. So if you need that extra bit of control, he will give it to you. You're paying more than you would for a normal Alzur's Thunder, even though you get the 1 strength body, and it's a mage. Ooh. It's probably just good. I mean, the flexibility is great. Like, you play this in a deck where the melee ability will always be relevant, and then you always have the Alzur's Thunder, you know, adds an ace up your sleeve if you need it. Not me up your sleeve, just the card ace of spades, hearts, clubs, diamonds. Whichever one you prefer. I mean, I'm not here to tell you which card to put up your sleeve, as long as it's a good one. Like Death Mold. Continuing in Northern Realms, we have Essie Daven, who is a bard. She'll probably also have the human tag, I would imagine. 4 strength, 10 provisions, ranged locked. Whenever an allied unit is boosted, give it vitality for 2 turns. Ooh. Of course, the obvious synergy is there. Trident Infantryman. You're already boosting those many times, and she gives them vitality for 2 turns every time. Of course, vitality, much like bleed, if stacked on a single unit, a lot of it might not even come to life. Like, it might not even matter, because you need a certain amount of turns for all vitality to function. And if the unit gets killed or purified, you lose all of that value. So this ability is probably fairly good. You can always set it up, especially with Queen Meve, that the turn when you play this, you have a couple of boosts already, so this will immediately get actually a decent amount of points right away. But it is 4 strength, it is locked to a row, it can be just locked, just straight up locked, so it's very disruptible. But like I said, you can set it up beforehand and get some immediate value out of this. It's very expensive, so you probably don't put this in your deck unless you really want to give your units vitality for 2 turns at a time. Which, you know, like I said, a Queen Meve boost deck would probably love this card. Alright, we're going to finish this off. We're going into Nilfgaard. Assimilate. The best. This is Conspirators. Human Agent. 4 strength, 5 provisions, assimilate. Whenever you play a unit who is not in your starting deck, boosted by 1. So it's almost like an assimilate 2, like double assimilate, but of course that additional ability only applies when you play units outside your starting deck, whereas assimilate is any card outside your starting deck. So I mean, it's still pretty good. The only thing, and I thought of this just before recording this video, with the current wording, this would also boost spies. And Assimilate likes to create spies. New spies, like Hengaith, Vigo, spies outside your starting deck. If they are also boosted by 2, or by 1, that's bad. That is really bad. So I don't know if this card should be changed to whenever you play a non-spying unit, or if it is balanced the way it is. I don't know, you guys will have to let me know down below what you think. Personally, I'd say make it non-spying unit, because I don't know, that sucks. I mean, you guys have seen me, you know, assimilate some nice Hawker Smugglers or a King of Beggars, and it boosts the spies in my hand, and it feels bad. It feels absolutely terrible. But the card is cool, and if you change the wording, it's probably very, very good. Great job. Thank you everyone for watching this video, and thank you to everyone who submits cards. There have been so many cards submitted, and I can't cover them all. I'm sorry, but I'm going to try to do my best. I mean, that's all I can do. That is literally the best I can do. Doing my best. Words make sense when you say them in the correct way. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Of course, leave a like down below if you did, to let me know that you want to see more custom card related videos. If you would like to see more custom cards, I wrote an article for Team Rankstar. There's a link down below that will take you to it, where I go over 2 exclusive custom cards that didn't make it into this video and will never make it into any video. One was made by myself and one was made by someone on my Discord. I didn't ask them permission, so I hope it's okay. I mean, it's a great honor. Right? I tried to go more for a funny tone, more comedic with this article, and I'm really happy with it, so go check it out. It's an easy read, it's a short read, but it should be very enjoyable, especially if you're interested in custom cards. And if you would like to submit your own custom cards, here is how to do so. Twitter, you can send them to me there. Discord, you can either send them to me via DM, or you can join the Ace of Plays Discord and post them in the custom card channel. Email, aceofplaysyt@gmail.com. All of these links are down below. And just send them to me in any way you want. You could also post like imager links here in the comment section of this video if you want. If you really don't want to do any of those other things, that's fine, I understand. I check all of these platforms, if you want to call it that, very regularly, so I don't think I've ever missed a custom card. I might forget about it later, but I see all of them, I promise. So yeah, send me your custom cards, check out my article, and I hope to see you again soon for the next custom cards video. Until next time, guys, have a good one. Bye.